Hello, welcome to this video. Have you ever heard of the Pareto Principle? If not, why not? Because the Pareto Principle is really straightforward. It's the idea that 80% of the subject matter can be learned in a relatively small amount of time, but it's that last 20% that could take years to perfect. And in this video, we're going to be using the Pareto Principle to understand what your obligations are going to be as a sole trader in the UK. So join me on this video as we try and keep it down to 10 minutes so that you can understand the first 80% of it and then maybe even just leave the last 20% to an accountant. So join us as we figure out exactly what you need to do to stay compliant. Hello, my name is Aaron Patrick. I am a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer and fancy new logo, that QuickBooks Chap on the internet, and also head of account here at Boffix, just behind me, look. Now in today's video, we're going to make sure that you walk away with this understanding 80% of what your requirements are going to be as a sole trader so you can understand it better going forward. Now, I'll be completely honest with you, to get to 100% could take a considerable amount of time, maybe even years. Well, that's where maybe, just maybe, your best opportunity is going to be, is to understand 80% of it, get it right. If you're comfortable at completing it 80%, then good on you, and you should be able to just get your self-assessment tax return completed. But if you do need help on that extra 20%, that's where an accounting firm like Boffix can come into play. Now at Boffix, we do things a little bit differently. Not only can we just take it from scratch and do your whole tax return from start to finish, like a traditional accountant can, but also we can think about maybe just giving you some guidance and tips so you can complete it yourself. And we call this the MOT. And the idea of the MOT is, well, we can grab that last 20% that you may not 100% know after this video, and we can make sure that you're applying that 20% accordingly. We look at what you're about to file, we give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down, and then you get confidence either way. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about exactly what I mean by the 80-20% rule and how we can apply it to this idea. Well, the whole principle is really straightforward. If we need to just know 80% of something and we can learn that in a relatively small time, then that's going to give us confidence that at least we know enough to be able to get us to the end result. And you know, for most of the time, that extra 20%, as important as it's going to be, will only be applicable to certain types of industries, certain types of clients, certain types of businesses. Majority of the time, vast majority of you, just knowing that 80% will be more than enough to make sure that you're compliant going forward. So let's start. Okay, so the clock is ticking. With the clock ticking, let's go straight into, first of all, who needs to complete a tax return? Well, this video is going to be aimed at what we call sole traders. And a sole trader is someone who has decided to take up a business. Doesn't matter what type of business it could be consulting, hairdressing, builder, any sort of business that you could think of. But instead of going down what's called a limited company route, where you have this whole separate limited company entity, and you know your limited company because you're going to be on what's called company's house, and you have to set it up, so you will know that you're a limited company. But if you haven't gone down the limited company route and you've decided to be a sole trader and you're looking to complete your personal tax return, then that's what this video is all about. Now, first of all, what are your obligations and why? Well, your obligation is to complete a personal tax return before the 31st of January. That, in a nutshell, is exactly and all that you need to know. But let's figure out exactly what that means. First of all, what is a personal tax return? Well, a personal tax return is effectively the opportunity for you to tell HMRC what your income is for a particular tax period. Now, a tax period always runs from the 6th of April all the way to the 5th of April, and it just keeps resetting each and every year. And that's what we call our tax years. And normally, if you are just taking what's called a salary or PAYE salary, then you don't need to worry about completing a tax return because HMRC already know what you've earned in a particular tax year. The difference between doing things as a salary, as you probably have done before, compared to what you're doing now, which is a sole trader, well, the difference is HMRC don't know how much you've earned in a particular year. Hence why the personal tax return becomes invaluable. Now, one thing to always remember about personal tax return is that you don't get to pick and choose what goes on it. You have to include everything on there. So if you've still got some sort of salaried income, or if you've got any other income that relates to you personally in that tax year, then you're going to have to include that income as well as your sole trader income to be able to make sure that you have everything included on a tax return. Just think of a tax return as basically you telling HMRC what you earned in a particular tax year. Every single penny you've earned, all in one form, so that you know how much, and HMRC know how much tax you need to pay. Now at the start of this I said about the 31st of January. Why did I say that? Well, remember when I first started this, I said that the 6th of April to the 5th of April is a tax year, and we have to consider that each and every year. Basically what happens is when that tax year finishes and closes on the 5th of April, then that means that you have until the 31st of January to complete your tax return. And that for you is your most important obligation you have as a sole trader. As soon as that tax year finishes, you've then got to report back to HMRC by the 31st of January to keep yourself compliant. Okay, so we know why and when, what needs to go on this tax return. Well, basically we need to be filling in the gaps that HMRC doesn't know. What HMRC wants to ultimately know is how much profit that you made. Now, what's profit? Well, profit is going to be the income that you take from having this business. So if you're a hairdresser or anything like that, it's actually you taking money from a customer, and it's going to be the expenses that you've incurred. So any expenses you've got for stock, for paying staff members, for having rent, for having telephone costs, all of those items all come together and become your expenses. When you take your turnover, less your expenses, that's going to give you your profit. And it's that profit figure that ultimately needs to find its way onto the tax return. Now, HMRC are going to need to know a little bit of information of where that information came from. They're going to want to know what your top figure is going to be, your turnover. They're going to want to know your expenses, and ideally they want those expenses split up for you. So how do we get that information onto your tax return so that you can stay compliant? Well, that's where the phrase bookkeeping comes into play. And for us at Boffix, what we would recommend is using a piece of software to do the bookkeeping for you. Take QuickBooks Online, for example. The beauty of QuickBooks Online is that you can add your bank account to it. It's all cloud-based, you can do it all on your phone, and that means you can record those transactions, those business transactions, as and when they happen. Meaning that you don't have to get to the end of the year and try and trape through the whole of that year to try and come back to that final figure. You can keep on top of it, make it nice and quick and easy, and I promise you it's something that will make your life so much easier. We've done loads of video content on QuickBooks Online, so stay tuned to the channel to be able to figure out exactly how QuickBooks Online can help your business. And furthermore, if you want a discount of QuickBooks Online, well, go over to our e-store, and on that e-store you'll be able to get yourself a discounted version of QuickBooks Online just for you. So what is a tax return? Well, it's supposed to incorporate everything that you earn. So all of that profit that you've got in there, from your business, you're going to put that profit into the tax return, including any other income you've had. Maybe from a salary position, maybe from rental, maybe from dividends. However much income you've had in a period, you're going to throw that all into that tax return. HMRC are going to get that data, and they're going to use that data to be able to determine how much tax you need to pay. If you've already paid tax at source, like from a salary, for example, that gets deducted, and then you finally have a tax bill to pay. When do you have to pay it by? It's that 31st of January date all over again. You need to make sure that that tax return gets completed before the 31st of January, and also that you make payment for your tax that's due by the 31st of January as well. Simple way of looking at it is possible. As soon as the 5th of April finishes each and every year, you've got a ticking time bomb up until the 31st of January to get your tax return submitted and make payment as well. Now, just looking at the future, this is how it looks like now. We know though that Making Tax Digital is just around the corner. What Making Tax Digital is going to do is take that whole concept, but instead of having that one tax return to file, you're actually going to have 4 quarterly updates followed by that one tax return as well. Meaning you're going to have to complete 5 different submissions in a given tax year, which is going to be far more complicated than we've got now. But don't worry, we've got plenty of videos on how Making Tax Digital can help you and your business. So again, make sure you subscribe to the channel and have a look back at some of the historical content we've got so you can be up to date on how HMRC can affect you. And there we have it. The first 80% of what you need to know about you and your business. Now, it seems complicated, but I promise you it's not. We've done lots of videos on how to complete that tax return, what information you're going to need. And again, we've got loads of videos on how QuickBooks Online can help your business. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, make sure you use the content we've got. And if at all you need any more help whatsoever, don't forget to contact us here at Boffix. Either we can have a conversation about doing the tax return for you, or we can push you in the right direction to get you that MOT you need to give you confidence before you press the submit button. All right, that's it. That is 80% of what you need to know about the UK tax position for a sole trader. If you need to have any more questions, don't forget to put the questions below in the comment section. We read each and every one and we respond to them as well. So please do make sure you use that facility to be able to get questions over to us. My name has been Aaron Patrick. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to do this video for you, and I'm sure I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye for now.